Welcome back. Turning to education, Common Core state standards are one of the most politicized and misunderstood changes in grade school education. Teachers in most states are now using them in the classroom. Critics of the new standards believe there are few things more dangerous happening in the country. The standards were created by the National Governors Association and the Council of Chief State School Officers to improve academic achievement and increase accountability. In a four-part series, the Deseret News explores how teachers are incorporating Common Core. Reporter Celia Baker gives us a preview and explains some of the misconceptions.
The misconceptions are as controversial as everything else about Common Core. So as I state them, we can consider that they're under discussion, and not everyone would agree with how I will lay them out. Common Core is criticized as a federal overreach.
Anytime you nationalize something, it centralizes power. When you centralize power, it removes parents and teachers from having a voice.
It was actually created by a coalition of state governors and state school superintendents, and it was backed by large corporations.
These are 45 states that have voluntarily come together to create fewer, higher, deeper standards that when you benchmark them to the best in the world, they're world class.
You might consider this as the Common Core state standards being the goal at the end of a football field, and the curriculum choices as the plays in a football game. The states have the right to design their own plays for the game, but we want to get to a certain goal that's a little higher educationally than we have gotten to before.
We finally are going to have standards in Ohio that are set at a very high, rigorous level. Now, Fordham has been tracking state standards in Ohio and elsewhere for 15 years. And back in 2010, we looked at the Common Core, compared them to the standards in Ohio. We found the Common Core to be clearly superior. Not perfect. We gave them a B+ in English and an A- in math. But that compared to C's that Ohio's old standards got.
Many people are hearing from their children or from their schools that they have to do these things a certain way because of Common Core. This probably arises because of the unfortunate fact that the standards have rolled forward very quickly before schools and districts have had a chance to gear up for those.
The thing that I find most disturbing about the Common Core academic standards is that it takes away classic literature by 70% for the high school English senior.
There are many legitimate criticisms. To my way of thinking, the greatest is that it has not been widely field tested, the standards, and that states have not had time to gear up to implement them. They have been pushed to do this quite fast, and as a result, some states have gone to the default program, which is the suggestions provided with the standards for curriculum and reading. Those were not adopted legally by the states, and the states are not bound to those in any way.
I think the core here and what the opportunity is for teachers and in schools is to really focus on mastery, not simply exposure to a concept, but mastery. And blended learning offers an enormous opportunity for children and not local control, individual control of how you do that, how you master.
I think possibly as a result of No Child Left Behind, our schools have gone to an approach where we are teaching to multiple choice tests, and there is a lot of rote learning of facts that are quickly forgotten and a lack of deep knowledge of subjects. The Common Core state standards are also tied to testing, but the tests require students to think about things in a different way. Many states have gone together in a testing consortium that will be aligned with the core, but some states have pulled out of that, and Utah is one of those. Utah is in the process of designing its own tests, which will go with its own curriculum. Anytime you make a huge curriculum shift, it's natural for scores to go down for a period of time, but it's a painful process. It's painful if you're the student or the parent, and it's painful if you are the teacher whose salary is tied to that.
The teachers right now, a lot of them do feel a lot of freedom because the assessment system hasn't been put into place.
I'm a former public school teacher in Utah. I taught for 10 years at the junior high school level before also teaching at the college level. There are parts of the Common Core that I see as a really positive thing, but trying to implement it without having time to gear up and organize a curriculum and trying to prepare students for a test that is still being created would be very frightening. And if my salary was tied to that, I would be extremely worried. I think it is always imperative for parents to stay closely involved and to watch what is going on in the schools and to ask good questions. I think it is also important for parents to keep an open mind and occasionally to give schools a chance to catch up with this and to exercise a little bit of patience.
People are worried about the political consequences of this, and my argument would be, if you think that the standards of Florida or any other state are acceptable in a world that is incredibly competitive, that you want to benchmark yourself to mediocrity, do you want to benchmark yourself to the best in the world? If you're comfortable with mediocrity, fine. I'm not.
What we want are students who know how to come up with creative solutions to all kinds of problems and to be effective in our workforce and to bring our nation to the educational level that the nations we compete with in the international marketplace are reaching with their students. Certainly we need to find a way to do that. Have we found the way with Common Core? I don't know, and I don't think anyone knows.
You can read much more about the Common Core standards at DeseretNews.com. The four-part series looks at several different angles, including how the standards could improve critical thinking and the conservative battle. Coming up this week in the Deseret News and online, you can read about the role faith played in Martin Luther King Jr.'s life, examining specifically his letter from a Birmingham jail. Also, the field of computer science is exploding, and yet high schools are ill-equipped to prepare for it. Find out what they're doing to adjust. You can find it again, DeseretNews.com. And that's our report this week. I'm Dave McCann. Thanks for watching the Deseret News Sunday edition. We'll see you next week.